The crystal glasses clinked as my sister Amanda topped off everyone's champagne at our parents' monthly family dinner. Her husband Derek stood up, straightening his designer tie with the practiced motion of someone who thought far too highly of himself. "Everyone, we have an announcement," Derek declared, his voice carrying that smug tone I'd grown to detest over the past 8 years. At 45, he still acted like the hotshot banker who'd swept my sister off her feet, even though his recent temporary setbacks told a different story. I kept my expression neutral, sipping water while observing the scene. At 38, I'd learned that silence was often the best response to family dramatics. "As you all know, with the recent adjustments in the banking industry, we've had to make some changes," Derek continued, trying to make his upcoming unemployment sound like a strategic career move. Mom leaned forward, her pearls catching the light. "Is everything all right, dear?" "More than all right," Derek smiled, though I noticed the slight twitch in his left eye. His tell when he was lying. "We've actually come up with the perfect solution. Michael's penthouse has 3 bedrooms and he lives there all alone." I set my water glass down slowly, watching the scene unfold. They had no idea that my modest penthouse was just one small piece of my empire. To them, I was still the quiet younger brother who worked some vague job in international finance. "It makes perfect sense," Amanda chimed in, her wedding rings flashing as she gestured. "You're never there anyway, always traveling for work. And with Derek's temporary career transition, it would help us save on rent until things stabilize." Dad nodded approvingly. "It's a practical solution. Family should help family in times of need." What they didn't know was that I'd been tracking Derek's career transition for months. My intelligence team had flagged his involvement in a questionable trading scheme back in January. The regulatory investigation would become public next week, and his temporary setback was about to become very permanent. "We'll take the master bedroom, of course," Derek continued, his confidence growing with each word. "Amanda needs the walk-in closet for her clothes. We can move in next weekend. I've already called some movers." I checked my phone discreetly. A message from Victoria, my chief of operations. "Singapore deal closed. Acquisition of Parker and Reed confirmed. Announcement scheduled for Monday morning." Perfect timing. Parker and Reed, Derek's soon-to-be former employer, though he didn't know that yet. The acquisition had been in the works for months, planned down to the smallest detail, including the timing of this very dinner. "The penthouse could use some life in it," Mom added, "and think of the money you'll save on maintenance." If they only knew that the penthouse's monthly maintenance costs were more than Derek's former annual salary. The secret panic room alone had cost more than their house. "I've already measured the rooms," Amanda beamed. "The second bedroom will make a perfect home office for Derek's consulting business." Consulting business. That's what they were calling unemployment these days. I made a mental note to have my team monitor any actual consulting work Derek might attempt. The non-compete clause in the acquisition agreement would make that interesting. "Michael?" Dad's voice carried that familiar tone of authority that had stopped working on me years ago. "This would be a good opportunity to help your sister." I smiled slightly. "It's an interesting proposal." Derek raised his glass. "To family helping family. We'll make sure the place is put to good use." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Victoria. "ACC filing complete. Press package ready. Asian markets open in 4 hours." "When were you thinking of moving in?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "The movers are coming Tuesday," Derek announced proudly. "We've already given notice on our apartment." The landlord was very understanding about breaking the lease. Of course he was understanding. I owned the building through one of my shell companies. "You might want to hold off on those movers," I suggested mildly. Amanda frowned. "Why? The place is just sitting there empty most of the time. It's the perfect solution for everyone." I opened my laptop slowly. "Actually, I should show you something first." The familiar Parker and Reed logo filled the screen as I pulled up the press release draft. 8 years of careful planning, of playing the quiet brother with the modest job, all leading to this moment. "What's that?" Derek leaned forward, squinting at the screen. "The future," I replied simply, turning the laptop so everyone could see. The color drained from Derek's face as he read the headline. "Global financial giant Atlas International acquires Parker and Reed in $4.20 billion deal." "Atlas International," Amanda whispered. "But that's my company." I finished for her. "Well, one of them." Mom's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. No one moved to clean it up. Your company, Dad's voice cracked. But you work in middle management. No. I corrected gently. I own Atlas International, among other things. The middle management story was just easier than explaining why I was buying banks across 3 continents. Derek's hands were shaking. You bought Parker and Reed. The deal closes Monday morning. Though I suppose you'll learn about that in the all-hands meeting. Oh wait. I paused for effect. You won't be at that meeting, will you? Given the investigation and all. Investigation. Amanda turned to her husband. Derek, what is he talking about? I pulled up another document on my laptop. The SEC is very interested in certain trading patterns from the past 6 months, particularly those involving offshore accounts and shell companies. Not very creative, Derek. My compliance team flagged it immediately. You knew? Derek's voice was barely a whisper. I know everything that happens in my banks, including your attempts to hide the gambling debts. Did you really think those transactions wouldn't be noticed? Mom was crying silently. Dad sat frozen, his usual commanding presence shattered. Now, about those moving plans, I continued, closing my laptop. The penthouse won't be available. It's being converted into the North American executive headquarters for Atlas International. The renovations start Wednesday. But we gave notice on our apartment. Amanda stammered. Yes, to your landlord, who works for me. I smiled. Don't worry. I'm not completely heartless. I've arranged for you to sublet a nice 2-bedroom in the suburbs, much more affordable on an unemployed banker's budget. Derek stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. You planned this, all of it. Of course I did. From the moment you started embezzling from my future bank. I checked my phone again. Oh, and the regulatory team would like to speak with you first thing Monday morning. I'd suggest bringing a lawyer. But given your financial situation, we're family. Amanda pleaded. Yes, we are. Which is why I waited to see if you'd actually try to take my home before I acted. I stood up, straightening my own tie. Worth more than Derek's entire wardrobe. Consider this a lesson in assumptions and entitlement. Michael, Dad started, but I cut him off. 8 years, I said quietly. 8 years of listening to Derek brag about his banking career. 8 years of watching him lead Amanda into a lifestyle you all knew they couldn't afford. 8 years of family helping family. As long as it meant everyone else helping Derek. My phone buzzed with another message. Asian markets reacting to rumors. Should we accelerate the announcement? No. I typed back. Let them sweat a little longer. Looking up at my shell-shocked family, I continued. The penthouse was never empty, by the way. It's a fully staffed corporate residence. Those times you thought I was traveling, I was usually in my private office downstairs, watching the markets across 17 screens while building a financial empire. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. Would it have mattered? Would it have stopped Derek from planning to take my home? Would it have made Amanda think twice about assuming she could just move in? No one answered. The movers you hired, I added, looking at Derek. They've been instructed to deliver your things to your new suburban address. Don't worry about the deposit. Consider it my last act of family charity. You're enjoying this, Derek accused. Yes, I admitted. Almost as much as you enjoyed planning to take over my penthouse. The difference is I actually own what I'm taking. My phone lit up with another message. Sir, the cleaning crew found investment documents hidden in Mr. Thompson's office at Parker and Reed. Forensics team standing by. Document everything. I replied. Then to my family. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a global financial acquisition to manage. Amanda, the suburban rental agent, will call you tomorrow. Derek, I suggest you start looking for criminal defense attorneys. Though you might want to act quickly, before your assets are frozen. You can't do this. Derek stood up, trying to summon his old banking authority. I already have. I gathered my things. Oh, and one more thing. Those country club memberships you've been floating on credit. They're being canceled tonight. Can't have the family name associated with financial fraud. Mom began to protest, but I held up my hand. The next time you all decide to help yourselves to someone else's property, you might want to check who really owns what. I headed for the door, then turned back. And Derek, The SEC investigators have your personal email passwords, all of them, including the secret account you used for the offshore transfers. Just thought you should know. I left them there, surrounded by shattered glass and shattered illusions. As I stepped into my waiting car, my phone buzzed one final time. Victoria's message was simple. Everything proceeding as planned. They never saw it coming. No. I typed back, watching my parents' house recede in the rearview mirror. They were too busy planning to take what was mine to notice I was taking everything that was theirs. The car turned toward my penthouse. My real penthouse, not the corporate residence they'd tried to claim. Tomorrow the financial world would shake with news of the acquisition. But tonight, a family was learning that some lessons come at a very high price. And I had so many more lessons planned. The morning light streamed through the bulletproof windows of my actual penthouse. Not the corporate residence my family had tried to claim, but my true home 40 stories above the city, where I controlled my empire. The headlines were already rolling across my media wall. Breaking Atlas. International acquires Parker and Reed in surprise $4.2 billion deal. Financial giants expansion shocks markets. Parker and Reed executives called to emergency meeting. Victoria's morning briefing appeared on my secure tablet. Derek Thompson arrived at Parker and Reed offices at 6:15 a.m. Attempted to access his computer. Security protocol initiated. Escorted from building at 6:27 a.m. I smiled, sipping my coffee. Right on schedule. My phone buzzed, Amanda calling for the 12th time since last night. I let it go to voicemail, instead opening the live security feed from the corporate penthouse they'd planned to invade. The moving trucks had arrived, only to be turned away by my security team. The movers were now en route to the suburban address I'd arranged, a modest apartment above a noisy restaurant. Sir, Victoria's voice came through the intercom. Your parents are in the lobby. Are they alone? Yes, Mr. Thompson and your sister are currently at their bank, discovering their accounts have been frozen. Send my parents up, but first activate Protocol 7. Protocol 7. The subtle show of power. By the time my parents reached the penthouse, they would have passed through 3 security checkpoints, seen 4 trading floors of analysts managing billions in transactions, and been escorted by guards who made Secret Service look casual. The elevator opened, and they stepped into my real world for the first time. Mom's hand flew to her throat at the sight of the command center that occupied one entire wall. Screens showing market data from every global exchange, news feeds in 12 languages, and real-time tracking of my corporate assets across 6 continents. Michael, Dad's voice was uncertain, a tone I'd never heard from him before. Good morning. I didn't turn from the windows. I assume this isn't a social call. What have you done? Mom's voice shook. Derek and Amanda are experiencing the consequences of their actions. I finally turned to face them. Or did you think attempting to seize my property would have no repercussions? It was just a suggestion about sharing the penthouse. Dad tried. No, I corrected. It was an assumption, an entitlement. They didn't ask my Gillets. They announced. They didn't request my Gillet. They declared. And now they're learning what happens when you make assumptions about the wrong person's property. My phone lit up with another alert. Derek Thompson attempting to access offshore accounts. Systems blocking access as planned. Did you know? I continued pulling up data on the main screen. That Derek has lost over $3 million gambling in the past year. That he's been embezzling to cover his debts. That he was planning to use my corporate residence as collateral for a loan from some very unpleasant people. Mom sank into one of the Italian leather chairs. That's not possible. Oh, it's very possible. I brought up more documents. Every transaction, every secret account, every desperate attempt to cover his tracks. My systems tracked it all. I was going to buy Parker and Reed anyway. Derek's criminal activities just made the timing more poetic. He's married to your sister, Dad said, as if that explained everything. Yes, and he was ready to move into my property without permission, to take what wasn't his because he felt entitled to it. Tell me, Dad, what would you have done if I had tried to move into your house without asking? The silence was telling. Another alert flashed. Amanda Thompson attempting to access corporate residence. Security denying entry. They're desperate, Mom pleaded. Surely you can. Can what? Enable more criminal behavior, cover up financial fraud, risk my company's reputation to protect someone who would have stolen from me? I shook my head. The time for family loyalty ended when they decided my property was their solution. Dad stepped forward, trying to summon his old authority. Son, there must be a way to do what? Save Derek from prison, protect Amanda from the consequences of her husband's crimes, preserve the family's precious social standing. I laughed softly. The same social standing that led you all to assume my property was available for the taking. My phone buzzed. Michael Aton. Victoria again. SAS team. Arriving at Parker and Reed. Mr. Thompson seen leaving premises with personal items. Watch. I instructed my parents. Turning to the media wall. Live news footage showed Derek being escorted from the building. A cardboard box in his arms. Reporters shouting questions. The ticker below read, Parker and Reed executive under investigation for financial irregularities. In about an hour, I explained calmly, the SEC will announce a formal investigation. By lunch, Derek's face will be on every financial news channel. By dinner, your country club friends will be quietly distancing themselves from the family. You're destroying them, Mom whispered. No, they destroyed themselves. I'm simply declining to save them from their own choices. I pulled up more data. Did you know Derek tried to access my corporate accounts this morning? Tried to transfer funds before the acquisition was announced. If I were a vindictive man, I'd add attempted corporate theft to the charges. Are you? Dad asked quietly. Vindictive? No, I'm methodical. Everything that's happening now was planned months ago. I gave them every chance to behave ethically. Instead, they planned to take what was mine. So now I'm taking everything that was theirs. Another alert. Amanda Thompson attempting to contact board members. Calls being redirected as per protocol. They're going to lose everything, Mom said. No, they're going to learn the difference between earning something and taking something. I turned back to the windows. The suburban apartment is paid for 6 months. Derek's criminal defense attorney has been arranged. Not a good one, but adequate. Amanda's job at the art gallery is secure, though she'll need to adjust to actually working for a living. And us? Dad's voice was barely audible. You'll keep your house. Your social standing will take a hit, but you'll survive. Consider it a lesson in assumptions and entitlement. I checked my watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an acquisition to manage. Michael, please. Mom started. The time for pleading was before they decided to take my property. Now it's time for consequences.
Bye.
Pressed a button, and security appeared. Show them out, and make sure they understand, Michael, any further attempts to access my properties will have legal consequences. As they were led away, my phone lit up with a message from Amanda. How could you do this to family? I typed back, how could you try to take what wasn't yours? The movers have your new address. Don't forget to update your mailing address for the court summons. Victoria's voice came through the intercom. Sir, the SEC team is requesting your presence for the formal announcement. On my way. I straightened my tie, worth more than Derek's entire wardrobe. Oh, and Victoria, make sure the corporate penthouse renovation starts today. I want the Thompson family to see the construction crews arrive just as they're moving into their new suburban life. Yes, sir. And the country club memberships, canceled effective immediately. Let them eat at chain restaurants for a while. It builds character. As I headed for the elevator, my empire humming around me, I smiled. They had wanted my penthouse. Instead, they got a lesson in consequences. And I was just getting started. 1 week later, the morning financial shows played silently across my media wall, each one featuring Derek's now infamous walk of shame from Parker and Reed, interspersed with analysts dissecting Atlas International's masterful acquisition strategy. I watched while reviewing the latest reports from my security team. Subject Derek Thompson made 3 attempts to access frozen accounts yesterday, all denied. Amanda Thompson seen at Sterling Club returning family membership cards. Parents' social calendar shows 7 canceled dinner invitations in past 48 hours. Victoria entered with the morning briefing. The renovation crews started at the corporate penthouse today. Very visible, very loud. The Thompsons' new neighbors have already filed 2 noise complaints about their restaurant top apartment. I smiled, scanning more reports. And Derek's meeting with the SEC, 4 hours of questioning. His court-appointed attorney was less than helpful. They're recommending criminal charges. My phone buzzed, a message from Amanda. The restaurant below our apartment starts prep work at 4 a.m. The exhaust fans rattle our windows. Please, Michael, we can't live like this. I showed Victoria the message. Remind me, what time do the construction crews start at the corporate penthouse? 6 a.m. sharp, with extra jackhammering scheduled for this week. Perfect timing. I typed back to Amanda. Perhaps you should have thought about living arrangements before planning to take mine. The elevator chimed, announcing an arrival on my private floor. The security feed showed Dad, alone this time, being escorted by 2 guards. Let him in, I instructed. But activate the trading floor displays first. By the time Dad entered, the room was alive with data, billions in transactions flowing across screens, my empire in motion. The message was clear. His world of country club memberships and social status was nothing compared to what I controlled. Michael, he started, then stopped, taking in the display of power around him. Make it quick, I said, not looking up from my reports. The Asian markets open in 30 minutes. Your sister, the apartment you put them in, is exactly what they can afford now. Amazing how reality hits when you can't access embezzled funds anymore. He stepped forward, his Italian loafers silent on the marble floor, I'd imported from Carrara. The noise, the smell from the restaurant, are excellent motivators to earn their way to better accommodations. I finally looked up. Did you really come here to complain about their living conditions? Their family. They were family when they planned to take my property too. Funny how that word only matters when they need something from me. My phone lit up with another alert. Derek Thompson attempting to contact Parker and Reed clients. Communications intercepted. I showed Dad the alert. He's still trying to steal. Even now, some lessons take longer to learn than others. What do you want? Dad's voice was tired, defeated. Money? An apology? I have more money than our entire family could spend in 10 lifetimes. And apologies mean nothing without understanding. I stood walking to the windows. What I want is for all of you to realize that actions have consequences. That entitlement has a price. By destroying your sister's life, by letting her face the results of her choices, she chose to marry a gambling addict, chose to enable his crimes, chose to participate in planning to take my property. I turned back to him. Choices, Dad, and consequences. Victoria entered with a tablet. Sir, the Thompsons' suburban landlord reports their rent check bounced. Unsurprising. What's their current liquid assets total? $847.32 across all accessible accounts. I nodded. Send them a warning notice. No extensions. Michael, please. Dad tried again. Your mother hasn't slept in days. Really? I sleep quite well. Then again, I haven't tried to steal from family lately. My phone buzzed. Amanda again. Found cockroaches in the kitchen. Mom says you're being cruel. Crueler than planning to take my home. I typed back. Check your lease. Pest control is tenant responsibility. Dad read the exchange over my shoulder. This isn't you, son. No, this is exactly me. The real me, not the quiet brother you all underestimated. Not the modest professional you all dismissed. I gestured to the empire around us. This is what I built while you were all praising Derek's minor accomplishments and planning to appropriate my property. Another alert flashed. Derek Thompson seen entering Golden Lotus Casino. I showed Dad the alert. Look, he's still gambling. Still hasn't learned. Should I enable that behavior by rescuing them? He needs help. He needs consequences. They all do. I turned back to the windows. Did you know he tried to use my corporate residence as collateral for a loan? From people who break kneecaps instead of filing lawsuits. Dad paled. He wouldn't. The documentation is very clear. He would have put my property and potentially my life at risk to cover his gambling debts. And you all supported his plan to move in. Victoria appeared with more reports. Sir, the SEC is ready to announce formal charges. Release the statement we prepared. Make sure every financial network gets it simultaneously. Dad watched as his son-in-law's crimes were broadcast to the world. Derek's official photo appeared on every screen. The Golden Boy banker now labeled disgraced executive faces criminal charges. They can't recover from this, he whispered. They're not supposed to recover. They're supposed to learn. I sat behind my desk. Now, was there anything else? The Asian markets won't wait. Your mother wanted me to invite you to Sunday dinner. I laughed softly. So soon? Has the family already planned to claim more of my properties? We just want to understand. No, you want to negotiate. To find a way to save Derek and Amanda from consequences. To preserve the family's social status. I shook my head. But some lessons have to be learned the hard way. My phone lit up with breaking news. Parker and Reed executive charged with financial crimes. Atlas International cooperating with investigation. You should go, I told him. Your country club friends will be calling soon, politely disinviting you from events. Best to start managing the damage to your social calendar. You're punishing all of us. No, I'm letting natural consequences unfold. Derek committed crimes. Amanda enabled them. You all supported their attempt to take my property. Now everyone faces the results of their choices. As security arrived to escort him out, I added, "Oh, and Dad, the construction at the corporate penthouse will last 3 months, right above the restaurant where they're living. Karma has a certain poetry, doesn't it?" After he left, Victoria brought one final report. "Sir, your sister's art gallery position has been reduced to part-time. Budget cuts. What a coincidence." I smiled. Almost like someone bought the gallery and reviewed staffing costs. Should we have the construction crews add weekend hours? No need. The restaurant below their apartment has live music on weekends. Very enthusiastic cover bands, I'm told. My phone showed a final message from Amanda. "Mom's crying. Dad's devastated. Are you happy now?" I typed back. "Happiness isn't the goal. Understanding is. Enjoy the live music this weekend." The Asian markets opened and my empire continued to grow, while somewhere below a family learned that taking what isn't yours comes with a price. And I was charging interest. 1 month later, I stood in the gleaming lobby of Atlas International's new headquarters, watching the former Parker and Reed building being rebranded. The morning news played on every screen, featuring a special report. Financial crime scandal expands. Former executive faces additional charges. Victoria appeared with the final impact report. Derek Thompson plea deal pending. Facing 5-7 years. Amanda Thompson art gallery position terminated. Family social status significantly diminished. Suburban apartment eviction notice served. Corporate penthouse renovation. 85% complete. Your mother left another voicemail. Victoria noted, they haven't seen Amanda and Derek in 2 weeks. Location? Living in a motel off the highway. Mr. Thompson's gambling debts caught up with them. I nodded, reviewing more reports. The lesson had been expensive, but thorough. My family had learned that actions have consequences, and assumptions come with costs. My phone buzzed, a text from Amanda. "We're moving to Ohio. Derek's cousin offered him work at a car dealership. I hope you're satisfied." "Satisfaction isn't the point," I typed back. "Understanding is. Good luck in Ohio." The corporate penthouse renovation was visible from my office, a daily reminder to my family of what they'd tried to take. The construction noise had driven them from their restaurant top apartment weeks ago. Sometimes karma needed a little architectural assistance. Dad's last attempt at reconciliation played in my mind. "We didn't know who you really were." "No," I had replied. "You didn't bother to find out before trying to take what was mine." My phone lit up with breaking news. Atlas International stock hits record high following acquisition. Victoria entered with fresh reports. "Sir, your parents' country club membership has been revoked. Apparently association with financial crimes violates their code of conduct." Life's full of surprises, I mused. Like discovering your quiet son controls a financial empire, or learning your son-in-law is a criminal. The movers reported the Thompsons' departure to Ohio is scheduled for tomorrow. "Send them a going-away gift," I instructed. "A framed photo of the corporate penthouse renovation, something to remember us by." My empire had grown stronger through this episode. The acquisition was praised as brilliant strategy. No one suspected it was also a lesson in family dynamics. A final message from Mom. "We've lost everything that mattered." "No," I replied. You've lost the illusion of what mattered. There's a difference. The construction crews were working overtime, transforming my corporate penthouse into a symbol of success. Below, a family packed for Ohio, their dreams of claiming my property shattered like their social standing. They'd wanted my penthouse. Instead, they got an education in consequences. And I got the satisfaction of knowing that some lessons once learned are never forgotten. Victoria brought the final report. All Thompson family assets liquidated. Ohio relocation confirmed. Social circle completely dismantled. Close the file, I instructed. Some chapters need to end completely. From my window, I could see the moving truck being loaded. A small crowd of former society friends watched, whispering behind manicured hands. Status once lost is rarely regained. My phone showed one last message. From Derek, I understand now. Too late, but I understand. I didn't reply. Some realizations don't need acknowledgement. The empire I'd built continued to grow, while my family learned that assumptions about quiet sons and modest penthouses can be very expensive mistakes. Victoria, I called. Send a donation to the Ohio Better Business Bureau. Anonymous, of course. Let's make sure Derek's new car sales career starts with proper oversight. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones that keep teaching. And I was an excellent instructor.